I actually got the steering wheel off the car, and we are about to take this from this nasty looking steering wheel over to this. And I'll show you guys step by step of how to make this possible. And to be honest, shout out to Chris Fix for making this video. Without watching that, I would have had no idea where to start. So here's what we're gonna need. I couldn't really go out to get more supplies because we're all on this under house arrest, basically, with this whole coronavirus going on, and I hope everyone's staying safe. But I'm gonna have to do with what I have here right now. I didn't buy all the things I needed beforehand, but here's what I have. I have the contact cement. I bought this earlier, this leather piece for a steering wheel repair. It's already pre-stitched and it's black leather. And because the steering wheel is a little too thin, I found this laying around my house. It's kind of like a pool noodle, but like not really. It's a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, and I will be wrapping this around the steering wheel before I put the leather on, and we'll be gluing that with the contact cement right here. And unfortunately, I couldn't find any red stitching or red thread, so that way I can put it together. But I have yellow, which is not the best color, but hey, we're under lockdown, can't really go out and buy red or black stitching, so we'll have to use that. And at the end of the day, it's still gonna look pretty good. Anything will look better than this right now, to be honest. And you'll need this to be able to cut up the old stitching, and we should be good to go. So now that you're ready to roll, we're gonna need to take the old disgusting leather off the steering wheel. And unfortunately for me, I don't know what the leather was held onto the steering wheel by, but like the glue was super nasty. It was dark, disgusting brown. It honestly looked like yeah, you can already tell. But honestly, taking it off was a complete mess, so I'm just gonna speed up the video so you guys don't have to watch me do this like in real time, because this thing took forever. But once the old leather was off, honestly, it was pretty satisfying, because now the steering wheel was kind of clean, and it's kind of gave me more motivation to keep going. And I also do want to say, I've never sewn before, so I had no idea what I was doing. So I just followed what Chris Fix's video was showing me, and honestly, it turned out pretty amazing. This video was great, so I hope you guys learned a thing from mine if you haven't watched his, which I will link the video down below. But hey, watch this video first, because you're already here, so yeah! Alright, so that's how the steering wheel looks like after I removed all the leather. You can see though, it is very, very, very disgusting. There's still a bunch of adhesive. It's probably like 10 years old, and it smells like, I don't even want to say what it smells like, but it just smells so bad, and it's super sticky. Just like sticks on your finger. So what I'm going to be doing right now is just removing that, so that way we can get started on the wrap. So after hours of finally trying to take this glue off, I got it to a point where I think it's good enough. So now what we're going to be trying to do is take that foam, cut it to size, so that way it fits nicely around the steering wheel, and that way we have some nice padding to go under the leather for to give us that nice feel when we're holding the steering wheel while we're driving. And also, look how nasty that glue looks. There was so much of it, and it was Anyway, it's off now, so that's cool. had this. It's a little bit of a hard bristle brush so I can use it for cleaning and stuff. And I was gonna use that, but it actually fell apart in my hands, which now it's almost perfect. It's gonna give me a little bit just so I can get in all these little spots right here to be able to get the contact cement. Here's the thing, what is contact cement? How to use it? So it's actually very important to know how to use this right, because if you don't, it's just gonna make an absolute mess and you don't want that to happen. So the way you use it is that you apply it to one surface, right? And then you apply it to the second surface. And then you wait about 5 minutes for it to kind of dry a little bit. When you first apply it, it has sort of a gloss finish. But after 5 minutes, it looks like it's super dry, but it's not. Get the two surfaces that you applied the cement together. I mean, it's kind of in the name. Once they make contact, they stick together super strongly and it's very hard to get off. It's almost impossible. So this is what we're gonna be doing. So we have to make sure that we do this right, because if we don't, it's gonna be a mess, and all the work that we've done, it's gonna be very, very hard to fix. As you can tell, it's still a little bit glossy, so I'm gonna give it a few more minutes and I'll come back to it. So I've just run into a little bit of a problem here. It's not a very pleasant one. Alright, so here's what I've decided to do. Since it's foam, I figured I should heat it up just a little bit for it to kind of shrink down, because before I put the foam on, this was way too big, and after I put the foam on, this won't, and now it's too small. So what I'm going to try to do is just heat it up a little bit, that way I can shrink the foam in, and hopefully that fixes the issue that I'm having here, because if it doesn't, then I'm going to have to redo this again. So let's try this. Definitely a lot thinner. That is good. So let's just keep going, I guess. Alright, so after a lot of heating up and melting, I've finally managed to shrink the foam just enough for it to be able to fit all over it again. So let's get started. Yeah, let's do it. So we're going to do a baseball stitch. We'll get the top needle and we'll push it through the first hole at the bottom, and we'll do the same with the bottom needle, but we'll push it through the top hole. Now here comes the most boring yet satisfying part. You're going to repeat this step around the whole entire steering wheel until you're done. Don't give up though. The further along you get, the more motivated you'll be to see this completely done. And it turns out sewing is actually super easy. You'll be done before you know it, and you'll be very happy with what you have at the end. So at this point I was just looking at the steering wheel and I realized that the yellow would not fit anything in the car at all. So my next best thing was to color over it in red with a Sharpie. It actually turned out pretty good, so I doubted this was gonna work. I had so many doubts in my mind, but I tried it on a string that was not on the steering wheel and it turned out really nicely. So I just went ahead and just did the whole thing. So yeah, hey, don't be afraid to try new things. So while I was stitching the leather around the steering wheel, I was keeping in mind those two little pieces where the spokes meet the circle of the steering wheel, because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with them. I wasn't sure if I wanted to stitch them to the existing leather pieces or just fold them over and just glue them to them. And to be honest, it was a tough decision, but considering I have zero sewing experience and I wanted to make sure that it looks as good as possible, considering I'm doing this for the first time ever, I figured I should just leave it all the way till I'm done stitching the steering wheel, because I will figure something out. It's gonna look way better than it did originally. So that's what I did. I just kept stitching around the steering wheel and left these two pieces till the very end. So what I ended up doing is actually fold the edges of the leather over and glue it to the existing leather piece. But before I could do that and finally finish this project, I had to do one thing. The foam under the leather was sticking out a little bit, so I had to cut a little bit of it off so it sits almost flush with the leather piece when it's folded over. And for folding the leather over, I didn't actually use the contact cement to glue them together, because it would have been very difficult when you're working with such a small area. So I ended up using super glue instead, which in hindsight wasn't really the best thing to use because it reacted with the foam on the leather and it heated up a little bit and it kind of shrunk a little piece of the leather. But at the end of the day, I had to work with what I had available. So yeah, there you have it. After learning how to sew for the first time and after 10 hours of making this happen, the steering wheel is looking better than ever and it feels great in the hand when you're driving, which is exactly what I wanted to begin with. And you gotta admit, it does look pretty sweet. If you guys enjoyed this video and learned something new today, subscribe to the channel because I love showing you guys that you can literally do anything you want, and if you set your mind to something, you'll make it happen. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and don't forget to smash that like button.